United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance blog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from Bobby.
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Blog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kiki Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Blog. What is it called? The podcast. Period. Or you're ugly. Period. And Power approved.
Are you ready?
Power.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance. God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party. It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast, with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
Hola, ¿cómo está? Bienvenido a la podcast de Alliance Guys. What's up, Jaden? Someone hit my SAP button.
Somebody hit your sap button? You calling yourself a sap?
Yeah, I'm a hopeless romantic sap. What is up, man? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast.
Thank you. I'm trying to make it louder because I'm having trouble hearing you, but it's not you. It's my phone. It has since every time I do this. For some reason, I have to change 10 settings whenever I first get here.
That's the worst. Hey, we have some friends in the chat. I want to say what's up to everybody who is here, who has been here, who will be here. Willie Bowen's in the house, of course. The Tyrus joke of the week. Hi, guys. Will Tyrus reprise his role in the reboot of Ghostbusters as the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man? Inquiring minds want to know. We've got Media Mike is in the house. We also sorry, Willie. Of course, Willie's here. Noob is in the house. Steve G is here. Dave Scooby's here. Yeah, and then there's Matthew Underwood's here. The Jackson Brothers. Duolingo, you sound like the Jackson Brothers. Who are the Jackson Brothers? I know the Scalara Brothers. I don't know who the Jackson Brothers are.
Heard of a couple of jackasses from not Pasadena.
Pasadena.
No, Cucamonga.
Oh. Those Jackson brothers. Oh, Matthew and Nicholas. I didn't know that they were doing a Duolingo. I didn't know they spoke Spanish. Regretfully, that's their gimmick now. Regretfully, I will not be heading down to Tijuana tomorrow night. I was trying to make plans to be a part of the Crash event that's happening tomorrow night. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it's my daughter's birthday on Saturday, so we're doing some last-minute preparations. Plus, it's going to be raining, and nobody likes to drive 2.5 hours in the rain both ways. So I will be skipping out on heading down to old Mexico.
Yeah, I think you were going to go originally for a donkey show, but that didn't happen.
You know what? Here's what I do. It's the simplest, easiest way to enjoy wrestling in Tijuana. You cross the border, you turn your phone off and turn it back on so that you get onto the Mexican signal. Because literally, although you're like 10 steps away from San Diego, your phone will not connect correctly. So if you're in Mexico and you're near San Diego, it'll be trying to reach the San Diego phone line, the network. So you have to literally turn off your phone and turn it back on so it will latch on to the Mexican telephone signal. And then you get into your Uber, right? You call the Uber, and right there at the border, they'll come pick you up and take you right to the arena, right? You go right into the arena. You pay for your ticket in the side, and a lot of those folks that work at the ticket booth speak some English, so it's not even like you have to know Spanish to get in. Then you just walk in and you go sit in your general admission seat. You pull out your tripod and your camera, you record the whole event and put it up on YouTube and make $1 million. And Jaden's muted, so no one heard what he had to say.
For your own safety, next time you do go over the border, have them update your list of towers and the most recent towers in that particular over the border. You could do so. I assume I know it can be done through an Android. I assume it can be done through an iPhone too. But by having the most recent list of towers, if something happens to you and have to track your phone, it makes it a lot easier for the triangulate where you are.
We'll talk about that offline. One thing I do as well is that because once you get over to the country, your apps on your phone still work the same, and like they have Uber. I literally, I'm not bullshitting. I literally take an Uber to the stadium, to the arena. You can have your Uber, your family can see where you're at on your Uber. So I do that as well, even though I have never had a bad experience. I do that just for my peace of mind, for my wife's peace of mind, so she knows that I'm safe and they know where I'm at. And it's usually relatively easy to cross the border. I don't drive in. A lot of people drive into Mexico, but Uber is like $4 to get to the arena. It's not expensive at all, and so it's easy. It's easy.
Probably cheaper than parking too.
It's parking's just on the street, right? Like I've been down there now to TJ like about 6 times, I think. And 4 of them I've been by myself, like completely alone. And it's never been an issue. But the parking, I don't even, there's just street parking. There's not like a parking garage or something. So, it's been, it's pretty cool.
What's the Lucky Brand t-shirt you're wearing right now?
Just something I got at Costco. I didn't have time to change my shirt today, but I shop at Costco. I like the Lucky Brand. It's a nice, comfortable shirt. Speaking of t-shirts, we do have our design is being worked on right now for the next shirt. Wicked Designs. You could see him on Instagram. Not Instagram. Well, maybe on Instagram, but on X is where we kind of do our most talking. And he's done a few designs for us in the past, and he is going to be doing the next shirt, Wicked Drawings. You can find him at Wicked Drawings on X. He'll be producing our next shirt for us, so that should be fun. Some late breaking news. This just handed to me. In fact, if you are already subscribed to the NWA mailing address, you might have already seen it. And now that I think about it, I don't know if it's up here on my screen. Yes, it is. Mr. Dave Scooby brought this to my attention. But we have a time and date for the Crockett Cup. It'll be happening Saturday, May 18th in Forney, Texas, which is a hop, skip, and a jump away from Fort Worth. So DKM, I'll see you there, pal. We're gonna go to the Crockett Cup, me and DKM. Jaden, you coming with us?
May 18th. It's more plausible than not, but we'll see. I've never been to Horny, Texas, though.
Forney, yeah, I had never heard of Forney, Texas myself. Fornicate, Texas, is that what it's short for?
Yes.
So I looked it up, and it's actually about like half an hour or less from Fort Worth, from Dallas. It's not far at all. So if I haven't been to Texas in a long time. The wife already said I'm good to go. They have a field trip with the school that day. So if I go, it'll just be myself, but thinking about it.
You ever drove to Texas, or do you always fly?
No, I've never driven to Texas. The last time I went out there, I flew, and that was a long time ago, very, very long time ago.
Where's the furthest you've ever driven away?
So last 2021, me personally drive, or me being in the vehicle?
You personally drive, and you in the vehicle.
So 2 years ago, 2021, that summer, we rented an RV, and as a family, we drove from from Southern California all the way to part of Texas, but mostly New Mexico. Like, we drove to Santa Fe, New Mexico in an RV. So that's the longest I've driven, or I didn't drive. My wife did the driving. She loves to drive everything. In my first life, I took a young Lily, my oldest daughter, and her mom to San Francisco, which was like an 8-hour drive. And that's the furthest I've ever driven.
In my own wrestling days, we used to travel up to Maine and everywhere, and then all the way down to South Carolina. So that was a common thing where we put a lot of mileages on our cars. Whoever was driving that day, we usually meant more than one of us was driving. And the longest I've ever drove by myself was down to Florida.
That's a drive, bro. That is I've driven, like, most recently. Michelle, my wife, she flew to Las Vegas, and then we drove to Vegas to pick her up, and then driving to Arizona is like a 6-hour ordeal, but San Francisco is like an 8-hour drive. If I drove to San Francisco today, it'd be closer to a 10-hour drive, but back when I used to live closer to Los Angeles, it was about an 8-hour ordeal. Real quick, Media Mike says, "Where are the 2 designs I made and sent you a while back?" Mike, I'm not sure. I'll have to touch base. I don't remember. I'll have to look back at those. And then Mike also said Crockett Cup. Crock is keyword. Yawn. Matthew Underwood said, "Weird that it's not in the Carolinas, but maybe the Von Erichs. I don't think they're signed to AEW or Ring of Honor." If there's ever a time to invest in the Von Erichs, it would have been last year, before the movie came out, or immediately after the movie came out. But yeah, I don't know what the plan is. You know, they mentioned the teams that are announced for that tournament. Let's see. They said expected top seeded teams include Blunt Force Trauma, managed by Aaron Stevens, Knox, and Murdoch. The Immortals, of course, Knox and Murdoch won last year. The Immortals, who are currently the U.S. Tag Team Champions. BFT, of course, the World Tag Team Champions. The Southern Six, managed by Ricky Morton. The Fixers, Storm and Dane. The Country Gentlemen, managed by Joe Kazana. And Daisy Kill and Talos. So, I mean, as of right now, nothing there to be super excited about as far as the Crockett Cup. But, you know, if they add the Von Erichs to it, that would be something. I think that would definitely get some people's attention. And then,
who's your favorite Crockett Cup competing tag team ever?
Ever?
Yeah.
That's tough. I mean, I've always been a Sting fan, so probably Sting and Luger, right?
Yes,
I mean,
that's a good one.
I've loved Sting even when I was a little kid. So again, it was really cool to see him win the tag titles with Darby Allin in AEW. But thinking back, Sting was really cool. And then I'm a huge La Rebellion fan. You guys know I'm a big Mecha Wolf fan, and it was really cool to see them at both Crockett Cups that I've been to. I also liked the tag team of. If we're just talking more modern, it was really cool to see Kojima and who is his tag team partner? Blue Thunder. I can't think of his name. Yuji Nagata.
Okay, I don't remember honestly.
It was cool to see them. It was cool to see Brody and PCO as a tag team. But yeah, I think I would have to say my favorite was Sting and Luger, just because I've always been a Sting fan.
Briscoes, yeah. Steve, I was about to say modern-wise, I was a big Briscoes fans, and I really liked the Commonwealth connection.
Yeah, they were great, right? I mean,
yeah.
I honestly, I still wish it would have been Aldis and Williams, right? But I feel like they did a pretty good job with Harry as the replacement. Willie Bowen says the Road Warriors,
the original winners.
Yeah.
In the old days, one of my two all-time favorite tag teams was the Lane and Eaton version of the Midnight Express. So I probably have to go with them all the time. And the more modern, I was either the Briscoes or the Commonwealth connection for me.
I also really liked. I think I've said this before on this show. They didn't compete in the Crockett Cup, but I was always a huge Steiner Brothers fan. I used to love Scott and Rick, pre NWO days, pre jumping to WWE days. That when they debuted for WCW, they were pretty amazing. Rick had been around for a while. Scott was coming up in the ranks. I don't think they competed in a Crockett Cup because I don't think they started teaming together well after Crockett Cups were happening. But
yeah, I think Rick's was maybe part of the varsity club.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I also believe he was teamed up once early with Mad Dog Buzz Sawyer, I believe.
That sounds right, actually. And then Dave Scooby wants to chime in. The furthest he's ever driven was from Reno, Nevada to Atlanta, Georgia.
Wow.
That's a drive, man.
Yeah.
And there's so much just nothingness on that drive. I saw a video the other day talking about the population in Nevada, and it's like 75% of the population that lives in Nevada lives in Las Vegas. And then there's a very small percentage in Reno, and then even a little bit smaller percentages in the cities surrounding Las Vegas, like Henderson and Pahrump. But then there's nothing. It's just vacant. It's just desert wasteland. And yeah, that sounds like an awful drive to Atlanta, Georgia. No, thank you. One time, go ahead.
I don't know if Dave stopped on Bad Street. The further down the block you get, the better it got.
One time, I when I was working as a phone installer for voice over IP phones, I flew in to Nashville and then drove to Knoxville, and that's I think a 3 or 4 hour drive. You lose an hour because of the time change, and then we were working in a much smaller city. Even further from Knoxville. So it was like, why did we do that, boss? But, it doesn't mean to question. It was just me to work.
I had a friend named Kim. We called her Swimmy. And she was catching up with an older boyfriend she had when she used to live in California. And we flew to Tennessee because it was closer to where we needed to go into North Carolina than anywhere in North Carolina. And I remember the town's claim to fame as they had one tire that was the world's biggest truck tire. One of them, not all four. Just one tire just randomly in the middle of the town on a pedestal of some sort, and it was the world's biggest truck tire.
Amazing.
It was bolted to the ground or something like that. It was a big truck tire. Don't get me wrong. It was probably 30 feet high, but still, that was what the town was known for.
Now, did you take a photo next to the tire?
I did, actually. It's an old camera photo. I probably got lost when all my photos got thrown away at the apartment thanks to a crappy landlord. But it was really, really. And it might have been after that. I don't remember now. But yeah, it was an actual photo to tell you how long ago that was. And also, I remember that the cops all drove pickup trucks with lights on them.
Going back to my summer in the caravan, we drove to Santa Fe, but we were on Route 66 a lot. And for those of you that don't know, Route 66 kind of ends somewhere in Santa Monica, California, but stretches all the way to, I believe, like Chicago, some parts of Illinois. It's a very long stretch of road. In fact, the Disney animated movie Cars was kind of based on a town outside of Route 66. And yeah, there was some interesting stops along the way. Luthez says the Pat O'Connor International Tag Team Tournament is greater than the Crockett Cup. I don't think I remember the Pat O'Connor International Tag Team Tournament. Was that the one that with the sheep herders and who was in the Pat O'Connor tournament?
It was won by the Steiner brothers, and it was a Starcade Tag Team Tournament, if I remember. And they had some qualifying matches, including Team Africa. One of Team Africa, it was Zulu and somebody else against the South African contingent. And the South African contingent was played by Ted Petty, later known as Rocco Rock, and Phil Apollo, later known as Doink the Clown.
Oh, okay. So here's some of the teams. I just pulled it up. Here's some of the teams that were in that Pat O'Connor International Tag Team Tournament, December 16th, 1990. You had Chris Adams and Norman Smiley.
Team Britain.
Team Britain. Rick and Scott Steiner, who won the tournament. Danny Johnson and Troy Montour, who I don't know who Troy Montour is. Never heard of him.
What country was that?
I believe that's Team Canada. Yeah. Then there's the Great Muta and Mr. Saito, obviously Team Japan.
That was a great tournament.
Jack Victory and Rip Morgan.
That was Team New Zealand.
Team New Zealand.
Which only one true New Zealander. Big ahead.
Sergeant Kruger and Colonel
De Klerk. And that was the South African team that was Rocco Rock and Phil Apollo.
And then I guess Team Russia was Victor Zangief.
Yes, a legit amateur wrestling Russian wrestler who went to New Japan Pro Wrestling and was the inspiration to Street Fighter Zangief.
And Solomon Hashkimikivov. Easy for me to say. And yeah, so there you go. There was also the I'm always fond of the NWA Tag Team Title Tournament they did when WCW rejoined the NWA, and I think it was won by Terry Gordy and Dr. Death.
Yeah.
And that was I loved to hate those guys because I was such a big Steiners fan. I was like, no way. And my brother was a huge Dr. Death fan, so he just rubbed it in my face. And I was like, no, these guys are awesome.
Which tag team had Beef Wellington and Chris Benoit?
That, I think, was the NWA Tag Team Tournament, and I will pull that up.
I don't think so. Was that?
Yeah, and I think it was like 90. I want to say 92.
I thought it was the Pat O'Connor.
Well, I mean, I just read the results, and it wasn't in there. Ricky Steamboat and Nikita Koloff representing Team USA defeated Joe and Dean Malenko, were representing Europe.
All of Europe.
Terry Gordy and Steve Williams representing Japan defeated Larry and Jeff O'Day representing Australia. Barry Windham and Dustin Rhodes representing USA defeated Arn and Bobby as part of the Dangerous Alliance, also USA. Rick and Scott Steiner defeated Miguel Perez Jr. and Ricky Santana of Puerto Rico. U.S. Tag Team Champions Michael Hayes and Jimmy Garvin defeated El Texano and Silver King.
El Tejano.
Tejano, excuse me, you're right. Pillman and Jushin Liger representing USA defeated Chris Benoit and Beef Wellington, Team Canada. And this one I won't say correctly, but you can laugh at me later. Akira Nogami and Hiroshi Hase defeated the Headhunters Joe Cruz and Bob Cook under masks, representing the Dominican Republic with simultaneous pinfalls.
Yeah, he actually said that pretty well. Hiroshi Hase and Akira Nogami.
Hiroshi Hase is easy because I grew up with that name. I remember him for a long time, but Akira
Nogami, later wrestled as Akira, was a truly underappreciated junior heavyweight in New Japan Pro Wrestling. And very, very underrated on how talented he was. Same thing for El Samurai. El Samurai, I think, got more recognition, but yeah.
And then the finals were Williams and Gordy versus Rhodes and Wyndham, and Gordy and Williams won it.
Yeah, that's when the Steiners, I think, were trying to they were trying to push Steiners out because they were making too much money, and they wouldn't take less money to work.
That's kind of how it goes.
That was Bill Watts' time where he was trying to cut the budgets down, and they were making like $1 million a year each.
That sounds like so much money then, and then you hear like Mercedes Moné is making like a lot more than that now.
Well, yeah, you just need a very wealthy money market. You can make whatever you want.
Yeah, well, I have a graphic for that if I was faster.
Unless you have a really cheap money mark, then you have the NWA.
Ooh. Did you hear that Tony Khan's dad, who I can't think of his first name right now, his individual wealth has grown by I guess $400 million to make him have a net worth of $12 billion, which means that he is worth more than both the WWE and AEW combined.
Well, he owns part of AEW, so I guess that's technically not true. But
okay, well,
I mean, it is technically true. It is true, but you know what I mean,
yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, I think his first name is Killer.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe you're onto something here.
Killer Khan.
There it is. So, of course, what we've been doing lately is doing watch-alongs. We started off with Joe Kazana Promotions just because we love Papa Joe. He's been on here a couple of times, and we wanted to help bring some eyeballs to his product. Of course, we watched the first 2 episodes 2 weeks ago. We watched episode 3 last week. And the show has been on a little bit of a pause while I guess they just either haven't edited enough matches together or they still need to film more content for the channel. So we decided that this week we're going to move on and watch something else. And it's kind of NWA adjacent, right? We're talking about DKM with the answer, Shad Khan. Of course, DKM is missing. He's out on assignment this evening. I think he's scoping out local tag teams to be a part of the Crockett Cup.
Wait, is that Shere Khan?
Shere Khan.
Shere Khan's the tiger from Jungle Book.
Both are right, by the way.
Shang Tsung and who was the leader of in Mortal Kombat? Not Shang Tsung. He was the evil wizard, the big one with the hammer. Come on, people, give me some answers here. I think he was a Khan too.
Yeah, maybe. All right, well, here, I'll do this. Mortal Kombat Khan. I'll let you know. Shao Kahn.
Shao Kahn. Yeah.
There it is. All right. Now, Matthew Underwood wants to point out episode 3 of the JCP has 4.6 thousand views. And I'd like to think that we helped get at least 5 of those, Noob is here, Shao. So what we're going to do this week is watch a program that's kind of adjacent to the NWA, and that would be Ohio Valley's Wrestling. Their program is called Rise Live. And of course, the reason why we call it adjacent to the NWA, because currently our world's heavyweight champion, EC3, is also the Ohio Valley national champion. Subsequently, the former women's champion was La Princesa Tiffany Nieves. Of course, another former women's champion who competes in Ohio Valley is, now I forgot her name.
Is that Haley J?
Well, yeah, she technically was in an NWA event for a minute, but I was talking about the really tall Alaskan.
Freya the Slayer?
Freya the Slayer. You're on it today. Yes, Freya
She's
the
Alaskan?
Slayer. Yeah, that's where she comes from. Originally, she's Alaskan.
I would have thought she was from like Norway.
Well, yeah, probably at some point.
Or Minnesota. Norway adjacent.
Minnesota.
Norway adjacent.
And then Matthew Underwood says JCP at 1.35K subs, they are outperforming considerably. Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. Like as a YouTube content creator, sometimes you post content and people watch it that don't subscribe. Nearly 90% of the shorts that I've produced here on YouTube, are seen by people who aren't subscribed to the channel, and it's kind of interesting to see how many people do subscribe who've only seen your shorts. I'm like, sorry guys, if you were just watching the shorts, that's not the content that we really produce on the regular here for the channel. So sorry to disappoint you, but nevertheless, Jaden, do you have the link? Are you fired up? Are you ready to go for Ohio?
OVW? No, actually, I'm not.
Do you need the link? I can post it in the chat.
No, I will pull it up in a moment on my phone. Close off, so I don't have nothing else running.
I'm sorry, did you say close off?
Close all.
Oh. I was like, all right, man, the show just Jaden After Dark over here.
Oh, it's actually still live.
Mm-hmm.
Are we just watching straight up live, or are we going back to the beginning?
No, I think we should go back to the beginning.
Okay, that means it's probably a 2-hour show, so let's get into this then.
It's actually only like a 45-minute show.
Which they usually start at 7 o'clock, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, they start. It looks like, to me, it looks like it's a 45-minute show, or a 50-minute show. So yeah, we'll get into it right now. You tell me when to press play, and we'll tell everyone in the chat to press play at the same time. All
right, I paused it. So it's 1 hour and 31 minutes and 48 seconds currently. That's how long it is currently.
Okay.
All right. Everybody, what we're going to do is when I count down to 3, I'll say press play. When I say press play, it's going to be real hard for you guys. I want you to press play. Okay? Got that? All right. Ready?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Press play. Oh, I can turn the volume up so I can hear something. Don't want to hear much, though, because I don't want it to kill our copyright strikes. Yeah, so there's the introduction.
It started streaming 92 minutes ago, so maybe that's not a good sign.
I told you it was an hour and a half or something like that. We're already at it and into it. So maybe let's just do a little bit of it. Oh, Enzo's there. That's Jay's favorite wrestler.
I actually saw him not too long ago. He was out here my way.
Appalachian Arena. That's a neat name for an arena. Appalachian Arena. Their graphic work has come up quite a bit.
Yeah, I don't know if I need all that graphic work, but I get it.
If you have a graphics team, you might as well show it.
There is a cat that I follow on TikTok, Suplex Media, and he used to be the producer for the show, or director for the show, like a couple of years ago. It's interestingly enough, Mickey James is in the chat on the. I forgot she works for them now. She is like the head of the women's talent.
Yes. Mickey James has been all over in the wrestling business, from independence to some of the territories in the NWA to Impact to NWA proper to WWE. I know everybody loves Hollywood Haley J. I don't buy her.
She's an interesting wrestler, right? Like, there's something about her that is like charming and likable, but like every interview I've ever heard of her, that is not who she is at all. And so like you see her in the ring and you're like, oh, she's a sweetheart. No, that's not who she is.
No, if you watch, she is a very intricate part of the OVW documentary.
Yeah.
And they start off very heel and it turns her very babyface in the documentary. But I'm not into it.
I know she actually recently won the IWW Women's Championship from our buddies Billy Wood's promotion out in the UK, and I think she's making her way back there to defend the title soon at their Parade of Champions event. So I heard somebody, one of my old friends, will be working with Billy Wood again soon. So
that's cool. You need to have him on. It's been a while since you've had him on.
Well, he came on earlier this year, but there's such a big time difference. And next year when I go to Scotland, I'm gonna tell him, hey, run a show this weekend when I'm in the UK, and I will try my best to make it. I mean, if he puts a show on for me, I'll definitely be there. But
yeah, the recap: they have 706 people watching live. Make sure at the end, you put a link to us saying we were reviewing the show. Now, I do watch this mostly often. I've been kind of slacking a little bit in it recently.
Yeah.
But OVW has some stars that I like and some up and comers, and even a good friend of mine, DGet Bundles. I'm a big fan of DGet. Make sure you give him all the likes. But there's some bright spots in OVW that makes it enjoyable. There's occasionally some goofy like sports entertainment garbage that I just, not my thing. But I like the way EC3 is presented in this company. He's presented very seriously and not doing stupid weapons, garbage, brawl matches.
Let's see real quick. Mike says he can't stand that ratchet hoe as it pertains to, I think he was talking about Hollywood Haley J. He might have been talking about Enzo, though. I don't know for sure.
Look, double champion. That's a much better national title than the one the NWA has. The only thing I don't like about it is there's no bend in the belt.
No.
It's very flat.
You got to admit that EC3 is still jacked as all out. Like, the guy has been in great shape, even going back to his run with Impact and TNA. I mean, dude is...
Oh, yeah.
He looks great.
If you go back to some of his old times, look into some of the stuff that he was in early Deep South wrestling, it's a completely different person. I understand the heat you can get with being a blonde broccoli head like that. Probably my least favorite thing about him. He is, if presented correctly, he's everything good the NWA has potential to be.
Yeah.
He's got the right looking gear. Not so much a fan of his ring jacket, but
I'm okay with it, but it is very control your narrative-esque.
Yeah. But he just looks like a wrestler, looks like a champion. He's got his ears look cauliflowered a little bit, like he's actually been in some fights.
Yeah.
His nose looks like it's been broken more than once. He's a guy that cares about his appearance, but looks like he doesn't mind getting into a fight. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. The only thing I don't like about what I'm looking at right now is that one of those belts should be around his waist.
One of the annoying things about belts is if you don't snap it enough, it's incredibly difficult to snap it on snap. You basically, when you get a new belt, championship, you should open and close those snaps about 100,000 times just to get it so it can be done.
Yeah.
I know DK doesn't like the gold silver, this fool's gold silver like look of a championship, but I like the way the national title looks on that.
Yeah, no, that's a good looking belt.
There's contrast, which a lot of gold silver belts don't have, and I think the black helps that.
Yeah.
So he doesn't apparently like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. He just avows the Men in Black.
Here comes Men in Black.
I have a feeling he has Team Jada.
Oh no. Keep my wife's name out your mouth.
I'd let him slap me. I could sue them, make so much money.
Yeah.
Somebody wearing a Dirty Dom, Rhea, Damian, Finn, and probably R-Truth shirt.
In the front row.
Yep.
You know what I don't see in the front row? Anyone
Teeth?
wearing an NWA teeth. Anyone wearing an NWA shirt.
Still NWA World Champion.
It's true, you know.
You know, there is the CW, and everybody, except if you're international, gets to watch that if you want. But I think him being on OVW helps the NWA title more so than I think the CW does. What do you think? The app, I should say.
I think when this all first started, I disagreed with that, but I think the more he's there, the better it is for the NWA.
If you follow this guy's
TikTok,
yeah, it's very entertaining.
Yeah,
and a little too truthful. I do have a thing about wrestlers wearing satin jackets, but I think they should be zippered, not buttoned.
That's fair. Jack Vaughn must be like the oldest looking 30-year-old I've ever seen.
Do you think Vaughn would make a good member of the NWA?
Yeah. Bro can cut a promo.
Yeah. These are sports entertainment style promos. I've never been a big fan of them. But these are two better at them.
Yeah.
I like it better when there's somebody actually doing an interview and conducting the interview, and these people just come out randomly with mics.
Yeah,
you don't see this in the NFL or the NHL or boxing, at UFC, any of that.
No, I was in the gym earlier today, and I spent a lot of time watching the DAZN, whatever it's called.
The Zone.
They were doing a lot of the promos before the fights, and there's always somebody holding the microphone. It's just weird, and this is the only sport where it's cool to do that.
He does look 60, doesn't he, Jack Vaughn?
Yeah, he looks way older than he should. He looks older than Damian Wayne.
The veteran. How old is Jack Vaughn? Legitimately. 30s?
Let me see if I
40s.
can find it.
Freya the Slayer against Hollywood Haley J.
It says that he's a 19-year veteran, but I don't see how old he is. I don't see that on here.
Layla Gray's another one I like. This commercial reminds me of WCW.
Yeah. Okay, so if no, that's a television producer. Nope, that's not him. Okay, so he said he began training in 2004 at the age of 18. So he would be 34.
Okay. There's one thing I don't like about this is normally I fast forward through the commercials, but I guess I can't do that now because we'll be off.
Yeah.
I also don't generally watch it live.
Yeah, neither do I. This is the first time I've ever watched it.
Ever?
Yeah, I haven't watched OVW at all.
Like I said, it's good production. It doesn't look macho. What reputation and what does Al Snow have to do with former NWA World Heavyweight Champion Dan the Beast Severn?
I do believe he was the one that trained Severn for some of his MMA exploits and helped
Train him as a pro wrestler too.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Got him ring ready for his first time in the pro ring. Noob says he enjoyed the feud between Haley J and Freya against the Bad Girls Club, which has been going on for the past few months. Matthew Underwood says, give me a Jack Vaughn thrill feud. Willie Bowen says, Danny Deals knows the slap. If the third chair is not being used, get it out of the shot. Agreed. Matthew Underwood says, yes, Jaden, I've been saying Vaughn for NWA for a year. And Mike says that Al was his sparring partner.
Yeah, he was a legitimate martial artist. And he was even in his corner. And they asked what he was Dan Severn doing to prepare for these fights. And Al Snow said he was in the back having sex.
Typical Al Snow.
Yeah. When doctors are, I can't remember which promoter it was. One of the promoters was trying to book Al Snow for a card coming up in February, but it was like 7 months away. And when he said, like, are you available this February? He's like, February. He's like, and whatever year it was, he's like, yeah, I guess it has to be. Otherwise, I'd have to ask for $10,000 of my plutonium for my DeLorean. The poster boy. Do you think the NWA lacks without having like an entrance way and music?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, again, so like we talk about the pro wrestling versus sports entertainment, right? Like this is obviously very sports entertainment-esque, and I feel like the NWA does miss out on having it. But they that one season, I think it was season 15, right after the 75th anniversary show, they had pre-shot intros for the wrestlers. They don't even have that anymore.
Yeah, I hated that, honestly. That was very Team Challenge series.
Now you just have the wrestlers in the ring. You get no intro.
Even in the old studio days, they at least had music.
Yeah. Las Vegas, Texas, huh? One of my biggest pet peeves in pro wrestling is dudes wrestle in like a suit, a shirt, or a tie. Like, I loved Mike Rotendo, but I hated seeing him wrestle as Erwin R. Shyster or Captain Mike Rotendo when he was wearing a shirt and tie. It's like, that's awful.
What about Big Bubba?
Bubba was a little bit different because, like, I always got the feeling that he wasn't a wrestler. He was just a bodyguard that they put in the ring. But yeah, I didn't like the whole shirt and tie thing. Although I think Bubba wore just the open shirt and suspenders, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he actually wore a tie in there. But like Mr. Hughes, right? I hated seeing Mr. Hughes in that very thin black tie. And I think he would wear the sunglasses while he was wrestling too.
Yes.
That's the worst.
It's not even a real tie. I guess it is a real tie. The red part of the shirt hanging out made it stand out more.
Yeah. Like
honestly, why would you just grab the tie and use it as a weapon against them? It's not a foreign object. You brought it into the ring.
Right.
Unless, it's made in China.
It's just not even a very attractive shirt either. It's pretty ugly.
It is very ugly, isn't it? The red buttons down the front, the white suspenders. I heard of rumors, by the way. I don't know why it made me think of this. Ricardo Rodriguez might be going back to the WWE.
Oh, yeah. Part of the LWO?
I was thinking, or maybe the other faction.
Huh.
For some reason, I think it'd be hilarious if he was R-Truth ring announcer.
That would be amazing.
I pretty much guarantee it's not going to be ADR.
No, ADR is back in AAA. And in fact, I think him versus Nick Nemeth has been announced for the next Triple Mania.
AAA is desperate for wrestlers right now when it comes to anybody of any kind of name value because of CMLL's war with them.
Well, there's been a mass exodus of talent from AAA. I don't know if people know this, but guys like Daga, who were part of the main roster for AAA for a while, went to Pro Wrestling Noah. So there's been a big exodus of talent to Pro Wrestling Noah. I think also Dr. Wagner Jr. is out there as well. So they have lost out on, and then a lot of guys who have signed with AEW like Commander and Vikingo, they all have made AEW their priority, which kind of hurts AAA in terms of having fresh talent. That's why I keep thinking, like, I don't know how much longer we're going to have Danny Limelight to kick around. I think he might end up getting called up to go work for AAA.
Starboy.
No reaction for Starboy.
That is an ugly shirt.
It's the worst.
What do you think of the name Rush Division?
It sounds kind of insulting. Like, I don't know. Like, look, TNA's had their X division forever. Obviously, this is kind of like a play on that. I think you could have come up with a better name than Rush.
I thought it was pronounced Roosh. The one problem OVW has is it has the NWA problem of too many championships, by the way.
Yeah, I saw earlier, I know that they have the national title, they have the Roosh title. I saw another division. I don't remember which one that was.
There's also the OVW championship. I know there's more. I can't think of them at the moment, but there's more championships.
So there's the There's the tag team, obviously, and then there's the OVW Kentucky Heavyweight Championship, and then the women's championship, the heavyweight championship, the national championship. So yeah, I get it. That is quite a bit. And Legacy Subs, I think that was Nick Aldis's business side gig.
I think it still is. I think he's still part of that. Yeah. I was actually going to ask you that when you were done. That's good, though. They're a sponsor to OVW.
Yeah. James H. Jackson says, do you guys feel like the show should be 1 hour episodes?
Yes.
I always feel like I'm at the point now where I feel like 2 hours is too long for a weekly show. If it's a pay-per-view, then I'm okay with more time. But like for 1 hour, just give me 1 hour of wrestling and then I'm good, And then Matthew Underwood, and let me try that again. Matthew Underwood says, where are y'all in the watch?
Right now, a bunch of commercials for machine learning to optimize.
Yeah, to optimize your
SoFi.
No, they called it Sophie. We are at basically like I don't know, maybe a quarter of the way in. The merchandise is awful, by the way. You get pillows and blankets.
We should sell blankets and pillows with DK's face on it. Making that face he makes where he's like has that surprise open mouth look.
Maybe contraceptives.
Oh, apparently, there's even though they have regular commercials, they had a regular YouTube commercial too. Wicked's Pizza Parlor. Not sure if I would want to eat there.
Why? What's holding you back?
It's called Wicked.
No, it's called Wix. Yes. What I like most about Freya the Slaya is she has size, and you can't teach that.
I just say she reminds me. She just reminds me of like Bull Nakano. Like she's got this presence to her that is lacking in a lot of women wrestlers.
Yeah.
She carries herself like she's the biggest B word on the block. Hollywood, yeah, I keep forgetting that. It's not Hollywood, it's Hollywood.
They say that Freya the Slaya is 6'1", which when it comes to women's wrestling, there's not a lot of women who are 6'1" in wrestling. But like, how tall is Charlotte Flair?
Charlotte's pretty tall.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Freya feud with Camille. I would have liked to have seen that.
Charlotte is built at 5'10". Camille is also built at 5'10".
Freya's taller? What if it's legit or worked? Freya looks big.
Say that again?
Freya just looks tall.
Yeah. Well, they also put her in the ring with someone like Hollywood Haley J, who's like 5'3", 5'2". Not a tall woman. They say she's 5'7", and I don't believe that for 1 minute.
Haley J?
Yeah.
Does the girl in the red and blue look familiar?
Yeah, it's Tiffany Nieves.
Yeah.
When the NWA is in desperate need of women's tag team, it's like they should be using these girls.
I like Tiffany Nieves too. The one girl here as their champion, she reminds me of like somebody ordered Mercedes Moné on Wish.
They remind me of a lot of the talent from WoW, to be quite honest, and maybe that's because Haley J wrestles in WoW.
A lot of them do, I think, right? At least a couple of them do.
I'm not sure who all does and does not. I know Tiffany Nieves does not.
The wrestlers that wrestle for WoW, they can't wrestle for the NWA, can they?
I don't think the answer is yes. I don't think they can.
Where's that CW synergy?
Well, that's I think those conversations were had. I just don't think they ever happened. James H. Jackson says tonight's ROH episode was an hour and 5 minutes. That's more in line with what I would like to watch. Dave Scooby says Aldous had just had surgery on the torn bicep tendon, injured while working out. Ooh, that doesn't sound good.
Yeah. That's one of those injuries, too, that once you injure once, you injure all the time. It's very easy to injure again.
Willie Bowen says, Pray the Slay is a hottie.
I kind of agree, Willie Bowen.
Yeah, I don't argue with it. Jessica Havoc and Savannah Evans are tall.
She got that thickness going on.
Yeah.
I'm down with the thickness. Ooh,
My wife says I'm thick and tired of being mistreated.
I thought you were going to call you thick-headed.
She probably calls me that too. My wife's great. I love her. She's awesome.
The Bad Girls Club. See, that works. Why isn't the NWA using them? I understand Haley J's got heat everywhere she goes, so that happens. But you don't have to use her.
Sure.
Another thing I don't like is the camera just happens to be there recording something when they just happen to walk in and talk to it.
Yeah, that's very WWE-esque.
Which is what they're trying to change, I think, get them ready for is the WWE.
What I would kind of like something for Ohio Valley to do is to tell me who these guys are, like lower third graphic. Just would tell me who's who, just so I'm a first time viewer right now. I've never seen this show before.
Yeah.
So I don't know who anybody is, and if they're not advertised, I don't know who they are.
I mean, it's a good little package, but other than EC3, you really can't catch into many of them.
Yeah. And I don't think we're going to have time to cover this whole thing tonight, but maybe we could get at least first hour. And it looks like maybe we could get the EC3 match, EC3 and Jack Vaughn, and then maybe call it a night for the review.
If anybody ever watched Tough Enough from the WWE, if you see this Ricky Rocket guy, he was Skid Marks in Tough Enough.
Matthew Underwood says they don't use the Bad Girls Club because they have Pretty Empowered. And I get that too, but it's like tweak it. Make it a little bit different. I think they would benefit from having a larger roster. You got to find a way to make it work. You got to use who's available, who's well known. And Willie Bowen said he's down with the thickness too, Jaden.
Yeah. Ooh,
The rumor has it that thick thighs save lives. So, I hate the fact that they're using the comparisons to these guys who used to be in the WWE, who used to be in Ohio Valley. It's like, come on, these guys, they're no more connected to this version of Ohio Valley than, say, well, anybody, right? Like CM Punk, he wrestled in Ohio Valley too.
There's the mammoth. I prefer the manimal. Whatever happened to him?
He's still around. I think he's promoting more now than he is actually wrestling, though. Donovan Cecil with TW3.
Hey, actually, well, you got your graphic.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Do it backstage promos too. The camera's there, might as well.
You can get a belt just like the manager has on that one wrestling belt trophy thing you work with.
TrophySmack.com. I plan on, in fact, if you decide to make your own belt, use my link and use the code the Alliance blog to save like 10% off. James H. Jackson also points out that OVW does a weekly hour-long Overdrive show. You find out more about the wrestlers there, and they do 2 matches exclusive to that show. Didn't know that either. That's interesting.
Probably the one we should have watched.
Willie Bowen says CM Punk is trash. James says, well, it ends up being 40 to 50 minutes.
I don't like the mammoth ring gear.
No, I don't either.
Maybe next time, you know what, we should watch some dog wrestling matches.
I was thinking about that too.
Game over.
That's such an awful looking. I know it's supposed to be like the 8-bit, Nintendo style as woolly mammoth, but it's just awful. What do you think of the wrestling, though, Jaden? I mean, I haven't been super impressed with the wrestling.
Yeah, some of the wrestling isn't always great in OVW. When they get to higher elite, they usually tend to be 10 times better.
Yeah.
But this is like a lot of guys who are trying to make it into something now. This is their first television exposure. This is how they're learning. So don't forget, OVW still is a wrestling school.
Yeah.
And Adam Revolver actually isn't too bad himself. I just think you haven't had a chance to see much against a good opponent with him because he's usually a tag team wrestler. And his partner actually has a bit of a look to him, might be NWA worthy if anybody is NWA worthy, if you know what I'm saying. But he's got a good look to him, and I think he might be somebody NWA could use.
His manager kind of looks like Kerry Morton.
I believe the manager works with one of the owners in a radio station.
Oh.
He does like a morning drive-through or something like show with him.
Noob, I don't know if we're going to get to much NWA talk. We kind of talked a little bit earlier about some of the things that are happening, but I did watch the NWA show this week, and I got to tell you, it wasn't a very good episode. Matthew Underwood says, I hate their camera work. The current NWA is much better. I don't think, in terms of production, I think the NWA is pretty top-notch. It looks really good. Because a lot of those guys were trained by Dave Marquez, but, that's despite the point. Yeah, the camera work could be better.
That was a giant swing made famous by Don Leo Jonathan.
Don Leo Papadon? Any relation to the wrestler Papadon?
Don Leo Jonathan.
Jonathan. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I thought you said Papadon.
Not Papa Don. Not Papa John's.
Papa John sounds awesome right now. I'm hungry.
I never liked Papa John's pizza.
I don't like it either. I think I've told you this before, and I know it might be sacrilege to some, but I really like Costco pizza.
I heard Costco pizza is good and not as good as our parent hot dogs.
No, the hot dogs are amazing too, but anytime I'm at Costco, I leave with that slice of pie for sure. DKM says Power sucked this week. I don't think it sucked, right? Like, because they had a pretty good match between La Princesa, Tiffany Nieves, and the 5-star athlete Ruthie J. That was a fun match, but everything else was it didn't really land for me.
I'm glad I don't watch it. I don't want to give any likes or attention to the CW app for them. Solidarity with Canadian Tim.
Canadian Tim. I miss Tim. Tim, if you're watching, I hope you're doing well, buddy. But I bet you're not watching. All right, so we're going to go. The next match is not the main event, but it's the match between Jack Vaughn and EC3. So we're going to watch that match. We're going to give our full attention to that, and then we'll probably call it a night in terms of talking about Ohio Valley.
I think we should just fast forward to it. So you know what? If you're watching it, it'll be -11849. Go move to there, and we'll go from there. That way we skip those 9,211 commercials.
Okay, fair enough.
So, guys, you want to go to 1 hour, 18 minutes, 49 seconds. And when I count down to 3 and then say press start, I want you guys to press start. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Press start.
Jack Vaughn should be entering the arena.
They also have this thing. It's an Arn Anderson thing. It's a Tully Blanchard thing. It's a Larry Zbyszko thing, except for he just had a Z. But I like when they have the initials on the trunks.
Where's his title at?
He's not a champion right now.
They just said he was.
No, I think they recently lost the championship.
I know it definitely called him the world champion. The lower third graphic, unless they might have changed it. Let's see. James H. Jackson says OVW Overdrive is the world's only comedic wrestling program and airs every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on WBNA and the next day on their YouTube page. Hosted by Brian Kennison and Steven Johnson are your source for exclusive Ohio Valley matches, interviews, and more. DKM mentions the Eric Small segment. That was awful. I do agree with you on that, DK. No argument there. Willie Bowen says Pizza Hut is good too. I've never been a Pizza Hut fan, Willie. It's never done.
I did when it was a book it, when I used to win the book it awards by reading a book, 10 books or whatever. But that pizza hit something different back then. And that was when they had the red glasses and it came in piping hot and smoking in a metal dish.
And they had the kale in the salad bar, but it wasn't for eating, it was for decoration.
Yes.
Matthew Underwood said it's a Brock Anderson thing too, LOL. I guess wearing the BA on the tights.
Brad Armstrong used to do it.
Yeah.
And then Tim Horner had the little lightning bolt.
Right now, Jack Vaughn is taking it to our world's heavyweight champion.
Yeah, I don't mind Vaughn. Vaughn's a good wrestler. He's not the greatest. He's a little skinny and lanky. I think it may keep him out of like a bigger promotion, but for what the OVW is, for what the NWA is, I think he has the right kind of look.
Well, I think it was Matthew Underwood earlier said that give him Jack Vaughn and Thrillbilly. I feel like Thrillbilly, Jack Vaughn is a tall dude. He's 6'6", so he would be his body would look weird with Thrillbilly. He was around 6'6" too, but well over 300 pounds, right? Now I don't. Now I need to know how heavy Thrillbilly is.
Jack Vaughn recently too was part of a heel faction, if I remember. As part of I think he worked with that manager.
They say Silas Mason is 250, 6'5". So okay. My apologies to the Thrillbilly. I thought he was bigger than that.
I don't like EC3's chops. But I like how hard he hits the corner. That's always a good thing.
It's weird to see EC3 in this position where like somebody's slapping the back of his head,
Match is a little slower than I'm used to.
Yeah.
It's kind of telling a story, though. I like how EC3 telegraphed that leg was hurt. So when Jack Vaughn hit it. Yeah, Jack Vaughn's also wrestling like a heel right now. So it's kind of a heel versus heel dynamic, even though Vaughn is the baby face.
It seems like EC3's leg has miraculously healed.
You also don't see a lot of men with chest hair.
No.
There's a reason for that, by the way. Yeah, see, that spot would have worked better again if Vaughn was a heel.
Yeah.
And there's something to say for a heel who was dastardly and mean or whatever thing, wrestling as a baby face, but still wrestling like his old style. He doesn't change it up. Ole Anderson did that when he went to his babyface turn, and everybody knew Ole Anderson was just still nasty Ole Anderson. He just happened to change in a different locker room. But I don't think it works right with Vaughn because people aren't clamoring right now to see Vaughn really beat up EC3.
Yeah. Real quick, I'm going to hit some more of the chat while we're watching. Mike says Pizza Hut in the 80s for mass chain pizza wasn't bad, much better than now, but it was good in NYC only when your local place was closed. Then James says that their new slogan should be everyone out, Pizza's the Hut. Mike then says 4 Pizza Hut in 3 years closed in my area. I'm only left 15 minutes from me, but won't deliver. That's weird.
The only one left won't deliver. Yeah.
Jack Vaughn should turn down the comedy by 10%, according to Matthew Underwood. Noob says, I'm going to see the Blake Troop versus Idol match on Power because Blake Troop is main event material. But as for Brian Idol, I hate to say it, but he's a jobber to the stars in the NWA. You're not far off from that analysis, Noob. Willie says, I'm biased towards Chicago-style deep dish pizza with Italian beef. You guys are making me hungry. DKM says, too many worked weights in wrestling. This is true. We know this. Matthew Underwood says, now that's a good shot behind the corner in the post. And it also says, shouldn't this match lead to a 10 pounds of gold shot? As EC3 defended it often in Ohio Valley, how much input does the NWA have in EC3's booking there?
Zero on the in the input.
Yeah,
He's defended the title about 3 or 4 times, usually on some of their bigger cards. I don't think he's defended it on television yet.
That makes a lot of sense. And that might be by design, too. They might tell him, we don't want you to defend the title on TV.
That's old school booking wrestling anyway. You don't pay to see a championship match for free. And in the old school, when they did, they always had stuff like these sponsors paid extra to bring you this match, or this match is sponsored by this person. They're paying them to bring you this championship match as a way to, push their company. So you see the greatest for their make sure you support them because they're bringing you this match. The AWA had a world championship match often on television. For the longest time, the NWA didn't, unless you just saw the first 5 minutes of it, and then they would have to all of a sudden run out of time. The WWF almost never happened.
Yeah, that was a rare. Growing up as a WWF fan, it was a rare commodity to see a world title match.
And even if Hogan was wrestling in a match, it was often a non-title match against like Boris Zukov.
Yeah.
The exception being Saturday night's main event.
Yes, or pay-per-views in general.
Yes, but I mean, like for free TV, the only way you saw it was Saturday night's main event. Bret Hart was the most prolific, I think, free TV pre-Raw WWE champion. I've seen him defend the title many a times on television, often though against Virgil or 1-2-3 Kid. Yeah, but still, he did defend the title way more than other champions did on television.
Yeah, I mean, yes, and I think that was kind of like just a sign of the times too, right? Because Bret Hart won that title like in the mid '90s, where things started to kind of turn around, and the way that the WWE was doing things typically started to change a little bit too. And Bret was considered a workhorse of a wrestler, so I think they showcased him a lot more then too.
Yes. Also, I wasn't the biggest Bret Hart fan, but I never got tired of watching Bret Hart wrestle. If you had to watch, say, Hogan wrestle all the time, it would quickly go tiring. Same thing for the Ultimate Warrior.
Yeah. I like that the fans are still kind of getting behind Jack Vaughn, although he, like you said, he's been kind of wrestling more heelish in this match. The match is really starting to pick up steam right now. I feel like this is I should have gotten here a little bit quicker, I think. Does Vaughn kind of look like a bald Magnum TA with a lot less muscle mass?
I guess. I think it's the mustache.
It's all the mustache for sure. And a fairly decent spine buster.
Hogan had a similar mustache, brother.
Matthew Underwood said, sponsored by Buckets for Rent. How about no, Scott? No, Matt, we're not doing that. Speaking of Buckets for Rent, how about that Zicky Dice face turn being overshadowed? I don't know if Zicky Dice is a genuine face. I think Zicky Dice is meant to be a tweener. Matthew Underwood also says this is a solid match. I don't hate this.
Yeah, it's a good match. I think it needs another gear. It hasn't quite gone into it. I think it's partially because of the psychology. There's never mind. Hated the spine buster. Hated that. That was horrible.
Did you just now see the spine buster?
Yeah.
I must be a little bit ahead of you.
You must be way because right now he's doing a figure 4.
Yeah, I just saw him get out of the figure 4. Spoiler. I just rewinded a little bit. DKM says it was rare for the world champion to wrestle at all on TV. Ric Flair was the first to do regular jobber matches.
Yeah, honestly, I for some reason I think Jack Briscoe did too. I remember maybe I'm just remembering wrong, but I seem to remember Jack Briscoe wrestling a lot on television. But Flair did everywhere on television. Flair wrestled on Memphis TV. He wrestled in Continental TV. He wrestled in Portland TV. There was a really weird match in Oregon. It was Ric Flair and the Billy Jack Haynes, the guy right now who's in trouble a lot.
Yeah.
Taking on Rip Oliver and Roddy Piper. Very good match, though. But it was a free TV match you saw on Pacific Northwest Wrestling.
Don Owens.
Very interesting, match. And Piper was very big in the Portland area. I mean, it was big everywhere, honestly. But there's an airplane spin. How often do you see one of them nowadays?
No, and the thing about it is he didn't even finish it off. He just kind of set him down.
Oh, great. Here's some mask guys.
Here comes the man in black.
Do, 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 do. Which one's Will Smith?
I don't know. But the fact that I don't see the Overmen out there leads me to believe that that's the Overmen.
Here's what I hate. They got what looks like baseball bats.
Yeah. They called them batons. Why is this guy saying hell so much?
You might have missed one of the wrestlers that came in was Danny Basham.
Oh, it was. All right, well let's call it. Let's stop it here. I see Basham in the ring now. All right, well let's stop here for tonight, and maybe next week we'll get back to it. Oh, I lost you, Jaden. Look, it's the Undisputed Kingdom. Let's see. Same with Bockwinkel. Mike's talking about the title being defended on TV. It was a good match, but you could tell EC3 is dictating. He starts off very slow. Matthew Underwood says it's Clearwater. He's been hiding in the valley. And then Matthew Underwood said did the bell ring? No, I don't think I did hear the bell ring. Did you hear a bell ring, Jaden?
No, I did not.
And then Mike, one of the smallest guys resembled Cal Hero. Cal Hero has been working with the Exodus Pro as well.
Does just heads up another thing going around right now? The Rhodes nephews.
Yes.
Dustin and Cody Rhodes nephews are recently making their debut at the Rhodes Wrestling Academy television show. So they are third generation. Well, technically, no. I say third generation wrestlers, but their mom didn't wrestle.
Huh.
Unless their father, because people don't know, Typhoon Shockmaster is actually married to Dusty's sister. That would make them the cousins, not nephews, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, they had to be Dusty's older sister's kids. I mean, Dusty's oldest daughter's kids.
Yeah, not Cody's mom, but Dusty's mom.
Dusty's wife's and their first daughter, because they have a daughter, Dustin, and I can't think of her name, but she is there was two, a son and daughter, Dustin and the oldest daughter. And I would think because Teal is the youngest daughter and she's too young to have kids at wrestling age.
Let's see. Kristen Reynolds.
Kristen Reynolds, yeah. So I'd assume they'd have to be her kids. But still, it's nice to have some more Rhodes in the wrestling business.
Yeah, for sure.
I think it's funny, by the way. The Rock's trash talk Dustin and trash talk Dusty and trash talk Cody. And
Teal Reynolds is Dusty Rhodes' daughter from his second marriage. Kristen Reynolds is the daughter of Dusty and Michelle Rubio. She has two children, Dalton and Dylan. Dalton and Dylan are the tag team wrestlers, right?
I don't know if that's their name, but I think so. I thought it was like Wyatt and something, but
oh, maybe that's something else.
But I think it's funny how The Rock trash talks, Cody and Dustin and Dusty. He's never said anything about Brandy Rhodes.
No. You don't say anything about Brandy Rhodes because she's a shit talker.
Yeah, remember she came in and was just that infamous segment with her and Jade Cargill.
Yeah.
God, that was so bad. It was great.
Yeah, I just going back to Cody or Dusty's kids. The only ones that I can see are Cody, Dustin, Teal, and Kristen.
He has 4 of them, so yeah, that makes like 2, a son and daughter from the first marriage and a son and daughter from the second marriage.
According to the Vim Buzz, which doesn't mean it's accurate, says that both Teal and Kirsten are both from Michelle Rubio. So,
okay, maybe I'm wrong. I thought it was 2 and 2, but
it's saying Teal Reynolds is Dusty Rhodes' daughter from a second marriage with Michelle Rubio. She is Cody Rhodes' elder sister, and Dustin is her half brother.
Yeah.
So,
well, either way, it's nice to have. I like the legacy of families, even though not all of them turn around.
And we spent some time talking about that a few weeks ago, how siblings don't always equate to great, or maybe it was the other Alliance guys who did that, but siblings don't always equate to good second generation, third generation wrestlers. But yeah, look, in a world where wrestling names mean a thing, and there's a direct heritage to the Reynolds last name, to the Rhodes family, like why not? If you can compete at a high level, why not go out there and represent your legacy that way?
There were not a lot of second generation wrestlers that actually were successful. In the first one, I thought that was the one I could really, really, really think of was Nick Bockwinkel, son of Warren Bockwinkel, who I think significantly overshadowed his father in both his career and his wrestling ability. And the same can be said about the Funks, I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to give credit to both, Terry and Dory. They were former world heavyweight champions. Pops never got that far, nor did Fritz never had the acclaim that Kerry had, even though it was short.
Fritz was an AWA world heavyweight champion and a multiple-time tag champion. So Fritz had a very good career. He just didn't have the television behind him. Kerry Von Erich, David Von Erich, Kevin Von Erich, all were very good wrestlers. And, they all had various successes and stuff throughout their wrestling career. Obviously, Kerry was the most well-known, but they've all had some great successes out there. And Fritz was a good star. But then for every one of them, there was a Kelly Kaninsky, or there was I know I'm missing some, but there was a Greg Gagne who still had a very good career, honestly, but he was not Vern.
No.
Vern was a star, even though it's hard to believe. Vern was a very big television star. And a lot of those wrestlers just don't really break out from their parent shadows. The Billington Bulldogs is great. They are they real? They're not his sons. I think they're his nephews. They're the Dynamite Kid's nephews, I believe.
You know what? I don't know, so I'll look it up right now.
I don't think he had any children in the business. Trying to think of other second generation wrestlers in the 80s that really were not that great. I mean, I'm sure I'm missing a bunch of them.
Yeah, Mark Billington, the brother of Dynamite Kid, was the father of Tom and Mark Billington.
Okay.
So you were right. Dynamite Kid was their uncle.
That still makes them related to Davey Boy Jr. or Harry Smith.
Yeah.
Because Davey Boy and Dynamite were cousins.
Were they really?
Yes, they were family.
I did not know that.
Dynamite broke Davey Boy into the business out of a family obligation. I think Eric Watts could have been good if he didn't automatically start at the top and get everybody shoved down his face and never have a chance to develop.
Remember when Masahiro Chono taught him the STF?
Yes.
And then his illegitimate son Eric Watts looks nothing like him either.
Yeah, the one that wrestles and wrestled, I think, in California, right?
Yeah, Big Nasty Watts. Yeah,
he was the black sheep of the family.
Hey, wait a minute. We don't want to end the show like we did last week. But then Willie brings up Blackjack Mulligan. Of course, Barry had a great career.
Yeah, I have to say all that.
Kendall, not so much.
Kendall was, again, I think he had, when he finally filled into his size, he was well past where he should have been. He was actually a very talented wrestler. He was just painfully thin.
Yeah.
He used to use a Cheerio as a hula hoop. One time he took a shower and fell down the drain.
Oh, goodness. So, of course, our pal DKM wasn't able to join us tonight. He'll be with us next week. And I got to be honest, I have some not financial, well, kind of financial too, but I have some family obligations I got to run off to. So I think we're going to call it a night a little bit early tonight. I do want to thank you guys for, Doty's asking about the Crockett Cup. Yeah, it's going to be real close to Dallas, and maybe Jay and DK will be there. Maybe Jaden might be interested in coming out too. But let's wrap the show up. Let's talk
in
about...
all reality, I just want to go because DK promised to take me to a crawl of barbecue joints.
I mean, that's as good as any reason to go.
But yeah, honestly.
let's talk about the next event that will be taking place with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. I know these events are starting to come up as we get through the month of March and head into April. What's on the horizon for Dog?
April 11th, Rowan University. Their WWGP Championship will be on the line. The Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Heavyweight Championship will be on the line. The Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators Tag Team Championships will be on the line. Currently held by the Old School Empire, again, and Breaker Morant, first two-time champion, and Chris Steeler. If those champions will still be champions afterwards, they will defend it on April 25th at Rowan College in Burlington County. And then also on that card currently is Rhett Titus, Ricardo Rodriguez of the WWE fame, and OVW and Ring of Honor star Tank Tolan.
Yeah, Tank Tolan. Excuse me. I got to see
no matter what everybody says, he's not a dick.
I got to see Tank Tolan years ago when he was wrestling. I think he was teaming with Chad Collier back in the early NWA New Japan Pro Wrestling relationship when Dave Marquez was just getting started with the NWA territory out here in Los Angeles. He had brought in Tank Tolan and Chad Collier out here from Ohio Valley. So I did get to see him a long time ago.
Yeah, Chad Collier was actually another underrated wrestler that never got really his due.
He was so big. Like let me say that differently. He wasn't a very tall person, but he was jacked to the gills. Like he looked amazing, incredible body, for a guy who wasn't that big.
Tank?
And, Chad Collier.
Okay.
He was built like, they put him in the ring with TJ Perkins, who was, real famous junior heavyweight even now, but back then he was still kind of breaking through. He hadn't started wrestling under the mask yet, as the Puma mask. And he was a kind of a big deal here in Southern California, and he was wrestling against Chad Collier, who was also technically a junior heavyweight, but the size differential was so extreme because you had TJ, who was probably like 16 or 17 at the time, and Chad Collier, who was just jacked, just looked so good. And it was kind of a interesting dichotomy.
Yeah, Tank was a pretty big guy too. Jack-wise,
Tank was huge. Yeah. I mean, Tank was bigger than Chad, of course, but yeah.
He was taller than him too. But yeah, I don't remember Chad being as big, but I also saw him when he was younger and still trying to make his name out of himself. So he wasn't quite, I wasn't before he was in OVW or starting to really make a name for himself too. Another guy underrated who never got his dues.
Who was that?
Chad Kohler.
Oh, okay.
Kohler. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, so those events are happening soon, of course. Where are we at with the dog YouTube channel? How close is it getting to?
I think there's 2 new subscribers since the last time I was on.
It kills me to see that. And look, I'm not trying to be disparaging at all. I'm not trying to be self-deprecating either, but there is a literal YouTube channel that features over 284 videos. Most of that is wrestling, like actual wrestling matches. And it only has 952 subscribers. I don't know how it doesn't have more, and I'm not trying to say that in a negative way. Like, it's great content. I don't know how we could get that word out there even bigger for you, for Dr. Lawrence Draconium and the Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. But it's a shame that it's over 1,000.
I got an idea. If there is no new JCP next week, maybe we'll let the fans pick matches we can watch of Dog. Just please don't pick Dave Dahl matches. I know I don't get along with all of you, but I don't hate most of you.
No, I think there's plenty of Ray Jazz matches to watch. I mean, Ray Jazz,
Breaker Morant versus Brian Pillman Jr., Breaker Morant versus, I think, Dirty Money's a really good match. Dirty Money, I'm not sure if the match is on there, but there's Robbie E matches. There's Davey Boy Smith is on there. Rhett Titus. I can't think of the guy's name. There's a lot of name talent out there that are on Dog YouTube page. So you should come check it out. There's a good match between D-Gap Bundles. Remember talking about him in OVW, taking on Matt Stryker.
I was there for the Chris Steeler versus Eric Martin match. Busky Eric Martin. That was a great one.
Yeah, that was a good match. There's a lot of good wrestling matches on there. Richard Holiday. There's, like I said, there's a lot of good name wrestlers and got really good matches out there. So, guys, if we don't have a JCP to do, maybe we could do a couple dog matches.
Yeah, I think that would be fun.
Just please, no Dave Dahl. Unless it's the one where Follow Boss, the short where Follow Boss squashes them. We could watch that 10 times. I don't care.
Media Mike says Chris Steeler versus anyone.
Yeah, there's some really good matches with him. Trained out of Staten Island. He was actually helped partially trained by Biggie Biggs. And there's some really good matches. Him and he worked for a Ring of Honor, African American gentleman. It was just such a great brawl. And I can't think of his name now. It's the Kaiju.
Not Tyson Maddox, right?
Tyson Maddox's name was great too. Tyson Maddox was another really good. If you don't know who he is, check him out. There's also an Australian wrestler, JXT, that was very entertaining.
I'm scrolling through right now and I see Fallah Bond versus Sean Donovan.
That was a fun match.
Ray Jazz versus Richard Holiday. The Patriot versus Tanuku Amir. Let's see. William Huckabee versus Biggie Biggs. O'Shea Edwards versus Chris Steeler. That's
O'Shea Edwards. That was a good brawl. They had a good fight. That was a really good match. O'Shea's another very underrated wrestler. I think people should know more about. Very talented guy. You should check him out.
And then there's like a Daredevil. Dave Dahl brags about his momentous winning streak in both dog. Yeah, I'm not watching that.
Watch when Patch breaks. I'm telling you, this is most of the match, but it's still worth watching. Watch when Patch breaks his flag over Dave Dahl's body.
I'll have to see that one.
That was great. Anytime Dave Dahl gets hurt, guys, watch it. It's fun. The follow ball just dropping all his weight on him was beautiful.
What about Sebastian Cruz versus Kevin Douglas?
Is that on there?
Yeah, or Chance Prophet versus Damian Wayne.
That was a good match. That was a very good match.
Damian Wayne versus Lance Erickson. No, we're not watching that. Sorry.
That was a good match. I know you don't like Lance Erickson. He could wrestle. It's just
all right.
There was things, but no, I very much enjoyed that match. There was also, I don't have it, but somewhere on YouTube, there's a match of Chance Prophet and the Barbarian against like the Maestro and somebody else. It was such a weird combination, but it was a very entertaining match.
Mike says, yes, Biggie. I knew Nick very well. Used to call him Ranger Nick before he was Biggie.
Did you know Ranger Nick had a 10-foot flagpole?
All right, and that's where we're going to end it.
Ranger Nick had a 10-foot flagpole, and he went to the neighbor's store.
That's where we're going to end it tonight. I appreciate you guys watching. Of course, we'll be back on Tuesday for the pre-party. The other guys will be here on Wednesday, and of course, the three of us probably going to be watching at least 1 or 2 dog matches and then talk some NWA next Thursday as well. So I hope you guys will join us for that. Again, you can follow what I'm doing on all social medias at the Alliance Blog. Get ready. There's going to be a surge coming soon with a lot more content, photos on Instagram, videos on TikTok and YouTube. And of course, just general podcasting stuff here on youtube.com at the Alliance Blog. So make sure you're following on all the socials. Jaden, you want to say anything else before we go?
Yeah, get into the dog YouTube page now. About a month after the matches in April, you'll probably see some of those matches start trickling in on the YouTube page for both Rowan College of Burlington County and Rowan University.
And I think there's a lot of matches that we did not talk about that are excellent out there, and we'll have a few to watch maybe next week. Maybe we'll just add that to the format, watching some dog with DKM and Jaden and myself. But
Goldie will be there from New Japan Strong.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he'll be there on both cards. And the guy who wrestled for the Cruiserweight Classic, Ant Bennett, he was in that Cruiserweight Classic tournament. He's part of it, I think, at least one of them.
And I'll be at the New Japan Strong event in Ontario, California on May the 11th. So I'll have, as we get closer to that, I'll have some words about that after that event too. But let's call it a night. Let's get going. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Do appreciate you checking us out, and we'll be back next week for DKM and Jaden and myself. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you at the matches. Thanks for checking out the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance. Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at the Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are